Hi there, my name's Craig Taylor, Solutions Architect at HT2 Learning. I'm currently facilitating a MOOC or Massive Open Online Course, and at the moment we're looking at the subject of wearables. How can they help us in the modern workplace for learning and development teams? How are they being used? How could they be used? I've posed a challenge to the people on this course, and the challenge is tell us how you're using wearables, or tell us how you'd like to use wearables if time, money and expertise were no barrier, if only. So I thought I'd provide my response to this question, and I'm going to look at how I think we could be using wearables more intelligently than what we currently are. Let's look at what we do as L&D professionals. I believe that we spend a heck of a lot of time focusing on the thing, the subject, the object, the deliverable, the program, the project, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot involved in that, of course, performance consulting, needs analysis, curating, creating, design, user-centered design, evaluating the impact, reporting that impact, and a heck of a lot more around those subjects that I've just mentioned there, a heck of a lot more. We do spend a lot of time, money and effort focusing on the thing. And I'm starting to think whether we can use wearables to do things a little bit more intelligently. No matter how much time, money, effort, expertise we spend on focusing on the thing, no matter how well-rounded and how perfect we make it, if such a thing exists, if you send it to me after I've been recovering from a particularly deadly dose of man flu, I'm going to be in a suboptimal position to receive it. Doesn't matter how much time, money and effort you've put into it, it's not going to hit me at the right point. Similarly, if I send it to you and you've been particularly having problems with your sleep, or you've been up for 3 months with a screaming baby that's teething, you're going to have problems as well. It's not going to arrive from me to you at an optimal point for you. And this is where I think wearables can start to play a more intelligent part in what we do as L&D professionals. We know that wearables can track simple biological and physiological things such as heart rate or resting heart rate, sleep, steps or activity taken. Imagine if we could track that for a period of time. Imagine if we could build up a pattern as to what people's lifestyle looks like in terms of rest, sleep, heart activity, physical activity. Imagine if we can take that and compare it with how people are performing in the workplace. So, are they getting good one-to-one feedback? Are they getting good appraisal reviews? Are they passing tests? I know it's a vague out there concept, but I'm not saying it's the only thing that we should measure. How are they doing in the workplace? What's their customer feedback like? What's their peer feedback like? What are their scores like? What's their performance like in the workplace? And there's a whole range of things that we could use to measure that. So we've got what people's physiological data looks like, and we've got how they're performing in the workplace. What if we were to look at their high points of performance? What if we were to look at when they were doing really well in the workplace and then compare it with this data? What does the run-up to that high performance look like? What's their average sleep look like over the preceding 2 weeks? What's been their physical activity on average over the previous 2 weeks? What's their resting heart rate been? We can start to, I think, look at physical activity, physical and physiological traits, and start to look at their performance and make a comparison of the two. Maybe we could even get people to self-report, because just because my physiological state is great, I'm perhaps struggling with something mentally that's going on. Perhaps I've got a particularly teasing challenge, or there's something from a thought process that's troubling me, that's not impacting upon my physical well-being. So maybe we could introduce some self-reporting. So we know what people's physiological state is like, we know what their performance state is like. Can we start to build up an idea, a model as to when the right time is to send people things? So rather than just sending you stuff based on the fact that I've got a send button in my system or email, perhaps we can start to think, we'll send Craig stuff when his previous 2 or 3 weeks biological and physiological data suggests, and that's all I think it is, suggests that he's in the right state to receive it. Now, of course, there are some things where this just wouldn't work. You know, compliance training. Do we put compliance training off until Craig's in the right state to receive it? I suspect people might game the system then to never receive compliance training. But hopefully this brief video has given you an insight into how I think we might start to think about using wearables with an L&D. Not necessarily about transmitting data to the wearable for people to consume to make them more productive, more collaborative, but actually using the data that some of these devices already collect to be able to compare to people's performance, to build up a model to suggest when the right time is to send people and get people involved in things. It is a preliminary idea, it is perhaps something of a vague idea, but I think there's something in there, and I'd welcome your thoughts and ideas about it. And yes, before anybody says it, privacy would be a consideration, but that's not necessarily a reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I look forward to hearing your feedback.